and welcome back to Everything and TARDIS Console! Today I'm doing a top list! Specifically, my top 5 5th Doctor audios by Big Finish. Now, there are a few things that I want to go through before I start. Firstly, this list will not include any multi-Doctor stories. It will only be stories where the only Doctor in them is the 5th. Secondly, I have not re-listened to any of these stories for this list. So what I say come from memory since I last listened to them, which in some cases was some time ago. And even if I had re-listened to them, I still wouldn't go into a lot of detail because I don't want to make this video too long. So I will talk briefly about each entry and why it's on the list, and if you want me to go into more depth about any one of them, then you'll have to request a video on that particular audio, and then I'll go more in depth about it in that video. Thirdly, I figured that maybe not all the viewers will have heard all the audios on this list, so I thought it'd be nice to include the trailers for the audios after the declaration of each title. While the trailer plays, the cover for that audio will be shown on screen. So if you don't want to listen to the trailer and rather jump ahead to me talking about the audio, then you can just skip ahead to the next part of the video that shows my face and torso. With all that out of the way, let's get going. Number 5. Spare Parts.
Doctor Who. Spare Parts.
It's taken 6 years training, but the sky's the limit today as mankind sets out on its mission to see the stars.
This area is restricted to civilians.
Why? What aren't we supposed to see?
I saw your friend. Seemed like an amiable chap.
The Doctor?
At Dodds.
What were you doing there?
What's happening?
Oh, power cut. Just when I got the lights on.
Sounds like your society's in its death throes. Not the end of the world. You could be right. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Mondas doesn't have a future after all.
Emergency generators! Get the backup generators running!
Keep moving.
It's too dark to see.
No one leaves! No one!
Dr. Van Allen, you are relieved of your duties.
How dare you, Zhang! All this is my work! I created you!
And I am superior to you. Be proud while you still have the capacity.
That travesty that was once a human being is part of it. I don't know how long it'll take. I'm not even sure I want to stop it. But I can give you a wake-up call. It's up to you, not me, to change things and stop this horror once and for all.
Clear these streets. Return to your homes. There is nothing to see.
Now, Spare Part is essentially Genesis of the Cybermen, telling a great origin story for these classic monsters. Now, some of you might be somewhat surprised that this isn't higher on the list, because it is a very popular audio and one that is often recommended to people who are starting to get into Big Finish. A classic in many people's eyes, or should I say ears. Now, I'm not saying these people are wrong. In fact, the fact that it's even in my top 5 really speaks for its quality, as I'm usually not as into the kind of story type category that this falls into compared to the story categories or story types that the other titles on this list fall into. Like, I'm usually more into historicals and timey-wimey stories and stories that have more of a science fantasy feel rather than being hard science fiction. This title definitely being the closest to hard sci-fi that you will find on this list. Now, as for why it is on the list at all, it's really incredibly well written and acted, and it has a great atmosphere and human drama that really pulls on my heartstrings at times. The most memorable part of the story for me is this one scene where a certain character comes home. If you listen to the audio, you'll know what I mean, and it's freaking heart-wrenching. Basically, it really is a very incredibly good audio that gives the Siberian a great origin story with great atmosphere and great drama and all that stuff. But for me personally, there are 4 stories that I enjoyed more. Which leads me to number 4, The Church and the Crown.
Doctor Who, The Church and the Crown.
Is this really another time?
Yes, and place, Paris, 1626 to be exact, good few centuries after your time.
For the Church and the Crown!
Cardinal Richelieu had a vision for uniting the cultural diversity.
Richelieu? Wasn't he the bad guy?
No, quite the opposite. Alexander Dumas has a lot to answer for.
Run me through Del Mar, and 50 will step forward to take my place.
50 of the Cardinal's guards to 1 King's musketeer. Hardly a challenge, Morin.
How many more reports must I read of skirmishes on the streets? 12 in the last week alone.
What should I care if a few hotheads are getting carried away?
Our men are tearing each other to shreds!
Such beauty.
Are you talking to me? Could she have gone back to your TARDIS?
Oh, I doubt it. Sensible just isn't in Perry's vocabulary.
I don't know.
There she is. Take her.
Hey! Get your hands off me! Why would anybody take Perry? Doctor! Doctor! Help!
Would it help if I said I have to gain an audience with the King on a matter of national security that may even threaten the life of Queen Anne?
Then I'd say that you are more of a fool than you look. The King is preparing for the state ball this evening and will see no one, especially a peasant like you.
My ball will bring together every French aristocrat in one room. Tonight, we shall see France unified in my name.
I am the Princess Erimem of Karnak. May I present the Doctor, my royal vizier and chief advisor?
Dressed like that? I thought he was your jester.
I work for a higher purpose, as well you know.
No, Cardinal! You work for me! Do not forget that!
For the unity between the Church and the Crown to survive this night, the madness must stop!
Now, sir, prepare to face the sword of Patrice Delmar. En garde!
Oh, dear.
Now, The Church and the Crown is a story I most love because it's simply a lot of fun. It's a cracking good historical adventure with sword fighting and mistaken identities and conspiracies and all that kind of awesome stuff. So, if I want to listen to a 5th Doctor audio to make me feel happy and energized, this is basically my go-to pick. My favorite feel-good adventure, essentially. This is also the 2nd adventure of the Finnish creative companion Erimem, and I think she's usually at her best in the historical stories, including this one. She's really good in this. I don't think I have much else to say about this really, at least not in a brief review. So let's move on to the next one. Number 3. Eldrad Must Die!
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions. Doctor Who, Eldrad Must Die.
Here lies Eldrad.
Mayday! 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 This is Icebreaker Alexander! Alexander! Mayday! Mayday!
I wanted a boat out to the island.
You'll be lucky. I am in 1,000 worlds. Boats go down round here. I cracked in frozen waters. Gibbs, open the door! And nothing gets recovered.
He's coming out.
Keep back!
Something glittered. There. It's a bird. A big one.
The reactor housing.
It's not moving.
Look at its wings.
Poor thing.
Its feathers are full of crystals.
It's covered in ice.
It's not ice, sir. It's more like quartz.
I am here.
To their faces.
Don't look at them. Let's just walk away. Gibbs, is that you?
Crystals over their faces like masks.
Eldrad must...
The contamination has spread to humans. Don't look at their eyes. Keep going.
His eyes, sir! They're glowing!
Am Eldrad.
Eldrad must die.
This is a story where the Fifth Doctor travels with Tig and Trello and an older Nissa. And it was really a very pleasant surprise to me. Especially since I had been kinda disappointed with the previous audio of this particular TARDIS team, for which I had very high expectations, which weren't met. But this isn't about Battle of Brisbane, this is about Eldrad Must Die! I love saying that title. This is a story that has more of a science fantasy feel to it, which, as previously mentioned, is something that rather appeals to me. I also find Eldrad, him/herself, to be more interesting in this compared to his/her initial introduction story, that is the TV story Hand of Fear. I also feel like every member of the TARDIS team gets their chance to shine in this, and that the story utilizes both their strengths and their weaknesses rather well. My favorite part though is when we kinda get an insight to Trello's mind, as he's sort of hallucinating while being possessed. Yeah, that was a weird experience, but weird in a good way. Really amazing way, actually. I love that bit. But then I kinda like weird. Overall, this is a great story with a magical feel that I feel is kinda underrated. Moving on, we have number 2, Psychodrome.
Coming soon from Big Finish Productions, Doctor Who, the Fifth Doctor box set, Psychodrome.
He's not your doctor anymore. Your doctor died, remember?
We shouldn't be here. Something terrible's going to happen.
The walls! They're coming out of the walls!
Who are you? Answer truthfully, and your lives will be spared.
We believe the disease is highly contagious. As such, we cannot permit you to wander amongst us. You must be quarantined.
If we are to endure, we cannot tolerate any rivals. Kill her. There can be only one ruler.
When we first landed here, it was before the dawn. We sent out a survey team, and they didn't come back. When it came light, we sent out a second team, which discovered their bodies. What remained of their bodies.
You are the last of your order to survive. Perhaps you would like to plead for clemency?
Just kill me, just as you killed my brothers and sisters.
I've always feared letting my companions down. It's given me something to live up to. I have brought death into your lives. I have caused you suffering.
Just how many lives has the Doctor saved?
Trillions! The Doctor prevented the heat death of the universe!
You've all faced your fears. It's time I faced mine.
This Fifth Doctor Adric, Nissa and Tegan story also had a kind of science fantasy feel to it, like Eldrad Must Die. However, the most appealing part of this story for me was the exploration of the characters and their dynamics and fears and the way they saw each other. If you like this particular TARDIS team, I cannot recommend this story enough. It is a brilliant character study for the entire team with some great atmosphere and some really fun and interesting guest characters. It also started with a rather good mystery, which I also really like, and the way that the characters, regulars and guests alike, deal with the ultimate reveal was also rather interesting. Now, I don't think I can say much more without doing a proper detailed review, so let's move on, finally, to number 1, Omega.
Doctor Who, Omega.
Once upon a time, there was a lonely time plumber called Palix, who worked alongside the great Omega. You may have heard of the great Omega.
I was never up in the more obscure figures in Time Lord history.
But how do you know this?
Because I do. I'm Vandekirion, conscience of the universe.
Who are you? What are you? What have you got to do with Omega? Omega. That's right. Omega.
Perhaps I prefer myself as a monster. Better to shape the universe than to be one of history's victims. You should be on your knees, screaming for the universe to forgive you. For all my reputation as a warlord, a tyrant, a megalomaniac, I am a fragile flower compared to you.
Anyone got anything they want to ask Omega? Anyone? Yes.
Didn't you play the Randy Priest in Hearts in Orbit on channel 30,008?
You, my metal friend, are an electronic mugging machine.
Would you like to consider other related titles, sir?
No, I think electronic mugging machine will quite suffice.
I am now, as my brother Time Lords knew me before, Doctor. No monster, no tyrant, just the first and greatest scientist of our people.
I love this story so much. Out of all the Fifth Doctor stories, this is definitely the one that I have re-listened to the most. And I'm still not getting freaking tired of it, despite totally knowing the twist by now. Which would really speak to the quality of the story, and that the quality doesn't just lie in the big reveals. Now, interestingly enough, when I first looked at the villain trilogy that consists of Omega, Davros and Master, Omega was the one that I was least interested in listening to, whereas Master was the one I anticipated the most, mainly because the Master is my favorite villain. But when it comes to my enjoyment of the stories after having listened to all three of them, their roles was kind of switched, in that I found that I had actually some serious issues with Master, whereas Omega became and still remains one of my favorite Big Finish audios ever. It's a truly brilliant mystery that really wouldn't work as well, if at all, in a visual medium, as it kinda depends on what I would call audio illusions, which I'm not going to explain, but if you listen to it, you'll probably know what I mean. It can also be really funny in parts. Like seriously, the final line of this audio cracks me up every time I hear it. It also tackles topics like fame, identity and remembrance in both serious and comedic ways, which is rather interesting. In summary, Omega is my top favorite Fifth Doctor audio and one of my favorite audios out of all of Big Finish, and I really never seem to get tired of this freaking thing. Which I kind of feel like I should, because I totally know the twists and everything that happens, but no, I still enjoy it to bleeding bits. So, that concludes my top 5, that's 10, 5 favorite Fifth Doctor audios by Big Finish. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you another time. Ciao!